Let's bring in former Department of Homeland Security Chief of Staff and founder of Defiance.org, our friend Miles Taylor. And Miles, welcome. I understand you just came from a No Kings March in Washington, D.C. Tell us about the mood. What was it like? What did you see and hear? And was there one prominent message from demonstrators? Because as you're well aware, people are protesting a number of things from this administration.
Alex, it was a joyous atmosphere. It really was. People were so thrilled to be together, and I think they were thrilled to see how their ranks have swelled since this movement began with Donald Trump's return to office. I talked to a lot of people that had been there at No Kings 1 and at the No Kings 2 protest on October 18th of last year, and this year folks said something just felt different in the air. I mean, in 2025, a lot of people had the sense that democracy had been thrown back on its heels by the shock and awe of Donald Trump's overreach of executive power. But there was a real feeling there in the crowd that the defiance in this country is surging. So that's what I would say was the big takeaway, is for the first time since Donald Trump returned to office, some semblance of, dare I say, optimism among people who want to preserve the rule of law, because they now feel like they're not a lonely band of rebels, that they represent the silent majority of this country that is no longer so silent.
You know, it sounds like by your description that people are encouraged and that there will be more No Kings days or things like it. Did you get that sense as well, that they're looking to the future?
Well, certainly. And I spoke to the organizers, Ezra and Leah, a few days ago, and I think that their intent is to continue the movement until this man is gone from office. Now, despite the optimism on the ground, Alex, I still think people felt very much like the reasons exist to continue to be out there. You go back to those two words that Indivisible founded this movement on, No Kings, and the people who showed up in the streets of Washington, D.C. will tell you they have even more reason to be worried about a king than they did on October 18th of last year when there was the last big protest. For instance, since that time period, Donald Trump has become more ubiquitous on social media. He is threatening to take over the cable networks they watch. They have to think about him when they go to the gas station. They have to think about him when they go to the grocery store because of higher prices. They have to think about him now when they're at the airports because of the chaos and the lines and the ticket surcharges. They've got to think about them in the streets when they see ICE agents and CBP agents. They're worried they're going to have to think about him at the polls. And now they found out this week they're going to have to think about Donald Trump at the bank because he's sticking his face on coins and his signature on U.S. dollars. That sounds pretty kingly to a lot of these protesters who are out there. They don't want any of that. They don't want to have to confront Donald Trump every day in the routine aspects of their lives. And it's at a point where it's beyond Democrat and Republican. I met a 3-time Trump voter in the audience today who said the Iran war was the tipping point. He's just had enough. This is not what he voted for. And so I think you can see that the political opposition in this country is growing wildly diverse. It's an opposition that includes Marjorie Taylor Greene and Barack Obama. And that's, to me, a hell of a big tent.
Yeah, it is a huge tent, and I'm glad you're in it with us, my friend. Okay, Miles, thank you so much.